To Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks, and we've got you locked and loaded for this Wednesday afternoon. We're going to hear from Tim McMahon, find out what is going on with the Dallas Mavericks. What a dumpster fire. Can they salvage their season? We will find out. Eric Moody will join us on the show as well. We'll talk some NBA, give you some NBA picks on tonight's slate of games. Rob Demovsky is going to pop in with us as well. Find out what's the latest with Aaron Rodgers and the potential trade with the Green Bay Packers to, of course, the Jets. And therefore, Rich Cimini is going to join us, and we'll get an update from New York as well. So buckle up, sit tight. It's going to be a fun ride. And it's Masters Week, one of my favorite weeks of the year. So we set out on social media to find out anybody have any questions pertaining to the Masters. It's a fun segment that we started here on Bet called Question Marks. See, kind of a play on words. Anyway, so all right, let's start with, so we pulled a few questions that we got on social media earlier this afternoon. Let's go with the first one. And they want to know, what are some of the matchups that I'm looking at heading into this tournament that, of course, kicks off. Here we go. Two-putt birdie. I love it. Best matchup bets as well as the best top 40 values. Okay, so let's start with the matchups. First and foremost, love me some Fleetwood over Fitzpatrick. You can get that at plus money at plus 115. Fleetwood plays well in not so great weather conditions, and really that's what we're expecting. Weather conditions, I think, are going to play a pretty significant role this week, unfortunately, at Augusta, especially Friday and into Saturday. Meanwhile, Fitzpatrick just has not had a great season so far. So give me Fleetwood, Tommy Fleetwood over Fitzpatrick at plus money. Also, Shane Lowry, another guy from across the pond. They typically play well in bad adverse weather conditions. Going up against Min-Woo Lee, who does not have a lot of experience here at Augusta, and that's a really big factor. Guys who debutantes or guys who haven't played this course a lot, typically don't do well. This is course knowledge when it comes to Augusta. Last but not least, Sanjay M over Hovland. M, top 10 in 2 of his last 3 times he has teed it up here. He's got a caddy who knows this course extremely well. And Hovland, it's very interesting. His chip and putt routine is more of a bump and run. And I think with the bad weather conditions we're expecting, I think he's going to struggle around the greens. As for my long shot, look at Danny Willett to win at 175 to 1. I also like him to finish in the top 40. I think that's a sneaky good play. He's a past champion. He won here back in 2016. He's made 5 straight cuts. He's gaining strokes on approach of his last 5 tournaments. He tied for 18th at the Genesis, and the Genesis is a tournament that I look in regard to analogy. Guys who typically play well at the Genesis tournament play well at Augusta, and he tied for 12th here last year. I think he's looking to improve. So Danny Willett is my long shot. Okay, question number 2 comes to us in regard to some of the LIV players. Don't forget the LIV players now. They're going to be playing with the guys on the PGA Tour. Lavish 1951 wants to know, why do the Masters allow LIV players to participate? The Masters is wrong for letting them play. Listen, the Masters, the guys who make the decisions, they're in Augusta, they're on their own little island, and they do what they want to do. They don't necessarily follow what the PGA Tour does. But how about in regard to gambling? Here are 2 plays that I do like, considering that the LIV players are going to be playing at the Masters. Number 1 is DJ to finish in the top 20, and you can get that at minus 115. You know, he's played in 3 tournaments so far this season. His last one, he finished in the top 7. Also, driving distance, hole 13, that Azalea hole, he's going to have an advantage there. And how about Patrick Reed to finish as the best LIV player, finished 3rd in Orlando last week, and let's be honest, he's going to thrive in these very tense environment situations, right? I think a lot of the LIV players are going to get heckled. I don't think they're going to be well received. And so these are the type of conditions that Patrick Reed thrives in, and he knows he's won it before. He's already got a green jacket. I think he finishes as the top LIV player this week. All right, let's continue. We've got obviously a Tiger question. What would a Masters tournament be without a Tigers question? Will Tiger make the cut? I do believe he will. He's never missed the cut at Augusta. Here's the thing. So yes, Tiger's going to make the cut. It's a little bit hefty juice to put it down that he will make the cut if you want to play it. For him to finish in the top 40, I want to say is coming in around minus 175. You can get him to finish in the top 30 at even money. I might throw some coin on that. here's the thing. Again, bad weather conditions expected on Friday into Saturday. Weather temperatures are supposed to dip into the 40s. That doesn't bode well for Tiger. He wakes up extremely early in the morning, especially for those morning tee times, and it takes him a little while to kind of get the oil, get the grease revving in order for him to play well. And I think the weather conditions are not going to play into his favor, but I do believe that Tiger makes the cut. With that being said, let's dive right into our par 3 here on Bet. And I'm going to give you 3 of my favorite plays, guys that I think are going to win, finish in the top 5 and top 10. And for me, it's JT. I'm putting my money on JT to win, and you can get some good odds on that. So Justin Thomas, he's made 7 straight putts here at Augusta. His last finish, I should say, his worst finish was at 21. He brings strong form coming in from Riviera and Kapalua. Those are 2 tournaments that he played extremely well, and he leads the tour right now in strokes gained around the green this season. So I like Justin Thomas to win it. I'm also going to play him all ways. Top 5, top 10, top 20 as well. Schauffele, give me Schauffele to finish in the top 5 and top 10 as well. Don't forget he had a 2nd place finish here the year that Tiger won, and he was trying to chase down Decky. Unfortunately, couldn't get to him and finish 3rd, so he knows this course extremely well. He's played extremely well here. And here's the big one for me. He leads the tour in proximity from 150 to 175 yards out. Why is that important? A lot of people feel that the green jacket is won on hole number 13, the Azalea hole, where they extended now 35 yards. So now guys who hit long irons or good fairway woods are going to have the advantage to get on the green in 2 and try to putt for eagle. So Schauffele's got an advantage there. And last but not least, give me Decky as well to finish in the top 10 and top 20. As we know, again, a past master champion here. He's shown signs so far this season that his game is getting back on point. He's got 5 top 10s, especially again at Riviera and Kapalua as well. I'll have some more Masters plays and picks for you before I let you go, so sit tight. More Masters picks coming your way. But let's move to the NBA. We've got Tim McMahon, who's joining us here. He does a phenomenal job covering the Dallas Mavericks all season long. And so, Tim, my producer, Weimer, put together this statement. I'm going to read it to you, and then I want to hear your reaction. You ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. All right. On February 10th, Kyrie had played 2 games with the Mavs, right? And they won them both. At that point in time, the Mavs had a 96% chance of making it into the postseason. As of this morning, they've got a 30% chance to make it into the play-in tournament and a 5.9% chance of making the actual postseason. What's your reaction to that statement?
Well, that's not exactly what the plan was supposed to be. Look, this has been an epic disaster. Luka called it a very disappointing season. I'm going to go so far as to say the most disappointing team in the NBA this season. And I'd like to tell you, well, Kyrie's been hurt some, Luka's been hurt some. In the immortal words of Derek Coleman, whoop-de-damn-do, because they're 4-11 when they have both of those guys healthy, including this 1-4 road trip that they just completed, where basically they've put themselves in a position where they probably have to win out and still cross their fingers just to get the last spot in the West play-in picture.
So there was a rumor going around that the Mavs were contemplating shutting down both Kyrie and Luka because they have so little chance of making it to the postseason. Is there any truth to that?
Well, the consideration was because not only are the postseason chances so slim, but they owe the New York Knicks a top 10 protected pick. Right now they have the 10th best lottery odds. So you do the math. And this is, by the way, the last payment of the Kristaps Porzingis deal. So it was a scenario that they were at least thinking about, but the discussion did not get to Luka Doncic. And if it would have, he'd have said, hell no. As Luka said yesterday, as long as they have a chance, he's playing. And he knows the chances are slim, but he's absolutely not going to consider shutting it down, even if the chance is a 1% type of situation. And as of now, it's better than that, just not a whole lot better.
So we'll see again. Great game up against the Kings coming our way later on this evening. Now, so the Mavs, their easiest path to the postseason is obviously them winning their remaining 3 games and hoping that the Thunder lose out or finish 1-1. So the Mavs have not won 3 straight now, Tim, since February 6th through the 10th. So how confident are you in this group in that they can possibly win the next 3?
Listen, for the Mavericks to actually get in the playoffs, all they have to do is win 5 in a row. Again, they're 4-11 with Kyrie and Luka in the lineup together. How confident am I? Come on now, you can do that math. You don't need me to punch that up in the calculator. Not real confident, I'll put it to you like that.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. It'll be interesting to see what happens the next few games and if they do get into the postseason. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
You got it. We go from 10 to Eric Moody. Eric, welcome into Bet. Great to have you. We're going to break down some of the games on tonight's NBA slate. And let's start right there with the Kings taking on the Mavs. The Mavs favored by 6.5. We just heard Tim. He said Luka, he's in it to win it. He's going to play the next 3 games. The over-under is 242. What's your play in this matchup?
You know, I'm looking at the prop bet market here, Anita. I'm very intrigued by this game, and Tim hit on a lot of excellent points. So the first pick that I like is for Luka to surpass 48.5 points plus assists plus rebounds. And he kind of alluded to this. The Mavericks have been, I guess, like a sinking ship. They've been like the Titanic over the last few weeks. However, I'm like, if they do win out, they can still make the postseason. So I look at Luka going all out in this game to really propel his team to a victory. And one thing about Luka over the last 7 games, Anita, I'm like, he's averaged 31 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. So against the Kings on Wednesday night, I believe he's well positioned to surpass those per game averages in this matchup. So I like Luka. If I'm looking at the Kings side of things, I do like Keegan Murray here, over 19.5 points plus assists plus rebounds. So here's why. Now the Kings have solidified the number 3 seed in the West. Murray, he's a rookie. He's had his ups and downs all season, but to close out the regular season, he's played very well. And if I'm head coach Mike Brown, I would want to make sure that the rookie has a lot of positive momentum heading into the postseason. And one thing about Murray, over his last 10 games, this is a rookie who's averaged 16.6 points, 1.5 assists, and also 4.6 rebounds per game while shooting 51.2% from the field. To bring all that together, you look at the Mavericks. This is a team that has given up the most points per game and 6th most rebounds per game to power forwards this season. So I love Murray in this matchup, Anita.
Well, I love the Kings in this matchup. Give me the Kings and the points. I scratched my eyes. Am I seeing this correctly? I'm getting the Kings in points? Are you kidding me? They've won 5 of their last 7. They beat the Pelicans last night, 121-103. They're shooting 50% from the field, and they're 35-18-1 against the spread on the road. Meanwhile, the Mavs, again, we just heard from Tim, it's been an absolute disaster. They've lost 7 of their last 8. Their last loss was in overtime. So give me the Kings and the point. Another game tonight is the Grizzlies going up against the Pelicans. Pelicans favored by 6.5. The over-under is 227.5. What's your play here?
I'm looking at 2 prop bets in this matchup, Anita. So I like Brandon Ingram a lot in this game to surpass 40.5 points plus assists plus rebounds. What really makes this game intriguing is that you've got the Pelicans. They do have a chance to move into the top 6 in the Western Conference, while you got the Grizzlies. They're in striking distance to potentially earn the number 1 seed in the West. And one thing about Ingram, I'm like, he's been superb lately. This is a player over the last 11 games. He's averaged 28.8 points, 7.8 assists, and 6 rebounds while shooting 52% from the field. And one thing about the Grizzlies, I'm like, they've struggled against small forwards for most of the season. So I'll look at Ingram as another player who should be able to surpass those per game averages on his home floor against the Grizzlies tonight. And another bet that I do like is Jonas Valanciunas. So I can't forget to talk about my guy here. He's been really extremely well. He's played extremely well, I'd say, to close out the season. And one thing about Valanciunas, if you look at what he's been able to accomplish over the last 10 games, like he's averaged 17 points and 13.8 rebounds while shooting 56.8% from the field. Now, the Grizzlies front court, they have been decimated. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, and they've also struggled against opposing bigs since Steven Adams has been out with his injury. So I do like Valanciunas as well in this matchup to surpass points and rebounds in the prop market.
Well, I'm on the Pelicans, and I'll lay the points. 7-2, their last 9 games. more motivation tonight. I think they go into this looking at this game as like a game 7 in a playoff situation because they're 1.5 games back to the Warriors, but they're only a half a game up on the T-Wolves. Meanwhile, for the Grizzlies, they're pretty confident in that second seed, right? They're 2 games back to the 1 seed with 3 games to play. How confident are they that they can unseat and move to the 1? I think rest right now is more valuable in making sure that nobody's getting injured. So I wouldn't be surprised if a number of guys rest. As you said, no Adams. I'm not expecting Brooks to play, obviously. And here's another thing. This Memphis team, they're 1-6 against the spread in New Orleans. Like, I lived in New Orleans. It's definitely a fun city to hang out in. I don't know if that plays a role, but I do like the Pelicans, and I'll lay the points. Last but not least, you can see my shirt. You know what side of the coin I am on here tonight, and that's the Lakers going up against the Clippers. The Clippers are favored by 2.5, and the over-under is 232. Do you have a play in this game, or are you going to feed us more prop bets, Eric?
Well, you know what, Anita? I am going to feed you more prop bets because I can't turn my eyes away from Russell Westbrook in this game to surpass 29.5 points plus assists plus rebounds. So he has an opportunity here to play against many of his former teams, but he is going up against the Lakers here. And you know what, Anita? I am buying into that revenge narrative. So one thing about this matchup that I like, it does have playoff implications for the Clippers and for the Lakers. But one thing about Westbrook, since Paul George has been out, he's had a usage rate of 26.7%. Now, if you look at what Westbrook has been able to accomplish over his last 6 games, this is a player who's averaged 19 points, 8.8 assists, and 3.5 rebounds. And he's also shot 52% from the field. And one thing about the Lakers, all season, they have given up the second most points per game to point guard. So I love Westbrook in this spot.
Okay, and hopefully that plays into what side of the coin I'm on, and that's the Clippers. And I'll lay the points. The Battle of LA, both trying to avoid that play-in situation. Keep in mind, the Clippers do have that rest advantage. The last time they played was Saturday. Meanwhile, you've got a Lakers team coming off of an OT win against the Jazz, 135-133. LeBron played 38 minutes. AD played 42 minutes. Will they play tonight? I don't know. I doubt it. You talk about the revenge factor with Westbrook. I think that's going to be real. Kawhi shoots 60% against this Lakers team this season. I do have a prop bet for you here as well. I like Austin Reeves over points because, again, I am not expecting AD or LeBron James to play. He's averaging 17 points a game and shooting 50%. So if that point total comes in anywhere around 14.5, 15.5, I'm going to play the over there for Reeves tonight. Eric, sit tight. We're going to talk some pigskin for a second because we're all on Rodgers watch, right? So we're going to come back to you in just a second. We're going to hear from Rob Demovsky. He does a phenomenal job covering the Green Bay Packers. Waiting to see, when will this deal get done? Aaron Rodgers being traded to the Jets. Let's check in with Rob and what's going on with the Green Bay Packers.
Anita, the ball seems to be in the Jets' court from what I'm told, or at least that's the way the Packers are looking at it. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst and Jets General Manager Joe Douglas talked more than once last week at the NFL meetings in Phoenix without finishing a deal. The way I understand it, the Packers are waiting for the Jets to meet their demands, not the other way around. That would indicate the Packers would feel like they have leverage. But for how long is the question? If this deal doesn't get done before the draft, which is 3 weeks away, then perhaps the leverage shifts to the Jets. However, that's only if the Jets are the only team involved. At some point, if the Packers feel like they can't get a deal done with New York, then perhaps they will open it up to other teams. Now, the problem there is that Rodgers has already said that he wants to play for the Jets, and he would have to agree to go to another team. Early on, I was told there were other teams interested, but at this point, that hasn't materialized.
Wow. Great stuff, Rob. Appreciate it. Rich Cimini joins us now. Rich, we're both in New York. We've both been covering this story, and we know just how anticipated Jets fans are to hopefully land Aaron Rodgers. So let's start right here. Beware of the Ides of March. My parents got married on March 15th. Needless to say, they're divorced. That doesn't bode well. But on that day, Aaron Rodgers said his intention is to play for the Jets. And here we are 3 weeks later and still no Aaron Rodgers here in New York. So tell us, where does this trade with Aaron Rodgers stand right now from the Jets' perspective?
Yeah, Anita, it's a funny timeline. 3 weeks since Rodgers' statement, and we're 3 weeks to the draft. So we're right in the middle, smack dab in the middle, kind of a no man's land between the Jets and Packers. I can tell you from a Jet perspective, they believe they have the leverage because it's Green Bay that would lose the most if this deal does not get done before the draft. The Packers seemingly would want 2023 draft compensation to reap immediate dividends from this trade and to surround their new quarterback, Jordan Love, with some new players. So really the pressure is probably on the Packers to get it done before the draft, at least from a Jet perspective. So the Jets are very content to slow play this right up until the draft on April 27th. Their offseason program does start on April 17th, but publicly and privately, the Jets are telling people that if Aaron Rodgers is not on the roster and he's not there, we're not going to sweat it. So that's it from the Jet perspective. They're really in no hurry right now to get this done.
So let's talk about Lamar Jackson for a second, right? When Lamar Jackson came out and asked the Ravens for a trade, the Jets made it known that they were not in the market for Lamar Jackson. They were going to pass up. I think it's important that we also point out that Joe Douglas comes from that Baltimore Raven Ozzie Newsome tree in regard to the front office. That might play a role here. But since then, and now we're not seeing this trade with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers move fast enough. What are you hearing in regard to Plan B? Could it potentially be Lamar Jackson?
Well, I was talking with Joe Douglas, the Jets general manager, last week in Phoenix at the owners' meetings, and I asked him point blank, Joe, are you interested in Lamar Jackson? He said, he's a hell of a quarterback, but we're not interested. We don't want to come across as disingenuous. And what he meant by that was he doesn't want to be committed to one player, i.e. Rodgers, and negotiating with another player. He felt that would be, like he said, disingenuous. He wants to come across as being transparent. Now, he did get criticized in some circles for taking a Pollyanna approach to the situation, but I think it just goes to show the Jets' confidence level in getting Rodgers is so high that they're not even looking in different directions. He is their plan A, their plan B, and their plan C.
All right, so with that being said, this is a gambling show, Rich, and we're always into numbers. So let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being your most confident, how confident are you that Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback for the Jets in 2023?
I'm a 99, Anita. This deal is going to get done, and I'm fairly certain it's going to get done before or perhaps even during the draft on April 27th and 28th. And I know now there's some rumors out there that there might be a couple of teams hanging out in the weeds, being interested in Rodgers and trying to trade for him. Again, those are only rumors. And I would say to that, I don't think the Jets are going to be freaked out by that at all because they have two things that those teams don't have. They have a verbal commitment from Aaron Rodgers, who, as you stated at the top, said it on a national interview that he wants to play for them. And number two, they have Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator. He and Rodgers are like brothers. Rodgers considers Hackett almost like a big brother. So because of those two factors, the Jets are in the driver's seat, so they are not sweating this. What we have now is an old-fashioned staring contest between the Packers and Jets. Eventually, someone will blink and the deal would get done. It's a 99 for me, Anita.
Wow. And we're still a few weeks away from the NFL draft. I have a feeling you're right, Rich. I think that's how long this is going to play out. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today on Bet. So we go from Rich Cimini, we bring back Eric. Eric, now listen, we heard from Rob, we heard from Rich. I'm gonna throw out a few statements, and then you tell me which one you have most confidence in, okay? Statement number one, Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets in 2023. Statement number two, Lamar Jackson plays for the Ravens in 2023. Statement number three, neither of these things are going to happen. What say you, my friend?
Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets in 2023. So a lot of great points were brought up in this situation. I know there's some media reports out there. I was kind of reading today that, other teams are potentially looking to trade for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm just like, okay. I just kind of find those reports kind of hard to believe because, again, Rodgers publicly stated in an interview that I'd like to play for the Jets. He also has a shopping list, like it's the holidays, of players that he wants the Jets to acquire. We've seen some of those dominoes fall where former Packers players have moved on to the Jets. And the Jets and the Packers are obviously still negotiating. One point that was brought up that I agree with is that there's still time between now and the NFL draft. So there's still time for this deal, to get done. And you know what, Anita? I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers kind of leaked that news to shake things up that other teams are looking to trade for Aaron Rodgers. But again, I'd be shocked if Aaron Rodgers is not under center for the New York Jets in 2023. So that's the statement I have the most confidence in.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I'm here in New York. I host Sports Talk Radio here in New York. And I said this a few weeks ago. I do believe that the Green Bay Packers have the leverage here because Aaron waited so long to make a decision whether or not he wanted to continue to play in the NFL. He went in that deep, dark box for a week and then came out. And by that time, everybody else had made a decision, right? Like Derek Carr goes to the Saints and other, Heineke gets signed and this guy gets signed. Really the best option right now outside of trading for another quarterback, maybe Ryan Tannehill, is Carson Wentz for the Jets. And that's not a very good option. Or they go back to Zach Wilson. No. So I truly believe that the Green Bay Packers have the leverage because plan B for the Jets is not an optimistic one. And so I think this might come down to the Jets having to give up that first round pick or maybe trading back into the first round. So now they have 2 first round draft picks and utilizing one of them to send to Green Bay to get Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Eric, always great having you on Bet. Thank you for your time this afternoon, my friend. Enjoy the NBA slate of games and all your player prop bets. Hopefully they all come true.
Absolutely. Until next time, Anita, it's always a pleasure.
You got it. All right, as always, like I said, we end the show. And before I let you go, we're going back to the Masters. Again, if you watched the beginning of the show, a few things. A, I do like Tiger to make the cut. I like Patrick Reed as the best live player to finish all 4 rounds on Sunday. I'm all over JT to win. Schauffele, Decky. Who are some of my long shots here? Let's go with Sungjae Im to finish in the top 20, and you can get that at plus money. 2 top 10s here, 3 previous starts at the Masters, which is really, really impressive. Positive strokes gained in every department this season. He's playing great golf and 3rd on tour this season on par 5 scoring. Again, watch out for that hole number 13. It's going to be a big reason why somebody wins or does not win the green jacket. Top 20, give me some Siwoo Kim as well. 9th on tour in proximity from 150 to 175 out. Again, very important with the approach shot on 13. 3 top 25s at the Masters, 4 top 40s in the last 5 events. So this is the year that I think he can get into the top 20. And last but not least, I mentioned him earlier, and that's Danny Willett. This might be my favorite play this coming week, and that's finish in the top 40. Past champion in 2016, 5 straight made cuts in his last 5 tournaments that he has started, gaining strokes on approach in 4 of his last 5. And approach, this is his 2nd shot golf tournament, which is going to come into play. Tied for 18th at the Genesis. A good analogy in regard to guys who play well at the Genesis typically play well or score well, obviously, at the Masters, and tied 12th here last year. So a number of reasons why I like Danny Willett. So you are locked and loaded. You are teed up for the Masters. I'll be on Daily Wager a little bit later on tonight at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Make sure you tune in. Me, Tyler, Joe, Doug. We'll have more Masters picks and plays for you there. I'll see you there on ESPN2 at 6 o'clock tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Bet.